Welcome back, everyone, to our Spice Breaker match between TSM and Misfits Gaming. A spot in the quarterfinals is on the line as we gear up for an explosive fight to close out the day. For Misfits, it would be the continuation of an incredible freshman year. For TSM, it's about living up to the expectations that they set for themselves a year ago. A lot on the line for both of these teams. Earlier, you guys gave us your picks for your top 2 spots. Here's a refresher, just so that you guys
Crumb's
know,
already half
and
correct.
you at home can hold them to it. Anything you'd like to change, though, going into the final game? Svenskeren?
Well, I'm already bad because Team W finished first. I'm going to change. I'm going to say Misfits are going to take this game. Now, we've seen, what, 3 games from TSM?
What's the point of changing now? What's the point of
Just
that?
admit defeat.
What?
3 games from TSM, and they have not shown me any adaptation. Misfits have proven to me that this isn't just a participation award for them to attend Worlds, going from Challenger to the possible quarterfinals. They came to compete, and they came to win.
You see the fire in their eyes. Crumbs, I have a feeling you're going to hold fast to your
Oh, no,
earlier
I
prediction.
want to change right
All right, but
No, of course not. Of
I got some
course
NA hope over here. I got to tell you what.
okay, but specifically in this matchup, why is it that Misfits will take
Okay,
down TSM?
Misfits is playing to win. They played against WWE, and they are bringing the fire. They tried aggressive plays. They went with Blitzcrank against TSM earlier. Like this team is clearly looking to go the distance, and they're making adaptations. They're improving. Sure, they lost 2 games in a row. Momentum is not their way, but they're just looking way better than TSM.
Hard to argue, but I bet you Kobe's going to try.
Honestly, what is the point of changing my vote now?
Yeah,
Right? There's only 2 outcomes. Either Crumbs is full right and he's the winner, or we're both half right and we're only going to be half right anyways.
Okay, conviction, I like it.
And we've come this far with North America, right? I can't jump off the
I'm
train
already
now.
on the train. I
At
might
this
as well
point,
go
you
down.
can't argue.
Even though most fans would want to jump off something.
That's entirely fair, but let's try and get something slightly constructive out of it. How does TSM win then? All right, because you've, in a sense, admitted that it is, you know, a tall order for them to win this game against Misfits based on the way they've been playing today. What's the recipe?
Focusing on the early game. I think that the last meeting was enough to finally make them say, okay, we are going to put proactive thought into protecting the early game, and they're not going to have a huge deficit in the early game this time.
All right, we'll find out soon enough which team advances to the quarterfinals. Let's head over to the casters to get into the action.
Thank you, Dash. I'm Ty Breakthrough Time, bringing you the final game of today here. Still joined by old mate Spicy and Xayah. We've come this far. We have 1 more EU vs NA rivalry match to determine, and this may be the biggest.
Yeah.
For you guys,
Yeah,
it's definitely
by far,
the biggest
I think.
tiebreaker. I think EU and NA is perhaps seen for unexpected reasons as well. Misfits being here, being in a tiebreaker against TSM. Look, maybe TSM at Worlds is something that hasn't always been the best, but for EU to be sending Misfits here, a team everyone thought would be 4th place, now fighting for 2nd in the group, is exceptional.
And I think no matter what happens for Misfits, this has been such an exceptional tournament for them. So much promise coming out of this team. In 1 year, they have made the growth from challenger scene to 2nd place in Europe. Now, challenging TSM here in a tiebreaker to go to quarterfinals with 5 players who have never been to Worlds, and I just think that's exceptional.
Well, the draft has started, and already TSM have made a minor change. Kalista has missed her spot in the first ban slot, but she's back in on the 2nd. But John and Lulu being banned early tips hands very heavily for this early stage of the draft.
You have to think that Misfits probably don't want to give over Rakan again to Biofrost, who has been very, very effective on it. So the question does TSM ban it away, or are they happy to actually play into that, perhaps give it as a first pick? There's a lot of options, and kind of the thought process here has to really be looked at a couple steps ahead.
I am curious to see where IgNar wants to go for Misfits as well. Rakan is definitely something that should be banned from TSM. Wasn't sure if they were going to throw the gauntlet and say try your best. I feel like Rakan with Lulu Jana gone just gives too much to a team. Well, we'll see if Misfits change it up again and stick with something like the Blitzcrank Alder Thresh and kind of buck the trend of Ardent Sensor, at least for this game.
And that's a really interesting point because, if you're banning away a lot of these Ardent Sensor supports, Misfits has already shown that they are comfortable to play around this style, and they are perhaps trying to preempt what TSM was maybe going to do. Taking away the Taric, it is an Ardent Sensor support. It's something that Biofrost is comfortable playing. And now, for them, do you go back to something like the Nami, where they did not have success against Misfits in their first game? Do you go for something like the Karma? Or is Biofrost perhaps even pushed off an Ardent Sensor support altogether?
Yeah, it could force a weird support for TSM. I was hoping that it wouldn't be a Sejuani here as well, just quietly. Svenskeren could have picked Gragas, which is good into Taric, just, dispersing them all whenever Taric presses the ultimate. Not going to be the case here. They've changed it up, and very quickly.
The trust in Kog'Maw, though, here for TSM. That's their next pick.
We could be back into the Nami Kog'Maw once again. This is how Misfits actually beat TSM in game number 1 of their series. Many days ago, last week, they actually were able to defeat that, and famously, Doublelift starting very kind of greedy play, with the not Warlord's Bloodlust. He goes for the Fervor, he goes for Cull instead of something with a little bit more HP, a little bit more defensive stats, and they did get taken advantage of, and it was the Gragas of Maxlore that was going bot lane, that was ganking Doublelift, and they put them very far behind.
And I think probably the toughest part for TSM here, with Xayah Gragas taken there for Misfits, is that TSM, they need to know what their support is probably right now, because they're going to keep losing bans in Phase 2 if they don't take it.
Yeah, I certainly think they have to lock in their support now. I'm guessing it's Nami or the Karma. Karma is an option as an Ardent Sensor support, and they are going to not go to Nami. I think this makes some more sense. Because you actually have a little bit more support with those shields. It is more protection. While I do think Nami is stronger in lane than the Karma helps to enable you in the team fights more than the Nami, and that's really where TSM struggled last time.
And it's still quite good as a pick into Taric. Getting the extra move speed whenever Taric tries to stun you may help in dodging that one out. So there is absolutely merit in the pick. I like Karma more than I do Nami, just for protecting the Kog'Maw, giving them a shield above all else. It's still a very awkward spot that TSM have placed themselves in.
And we have seen the Kog'Maw be extremely effective, but we have not seen the Kog'Maw be extremely effective without a Lulu or a Janna, right? And that is what TSM is trying to go down, because this pick is so powerful when it is really backed up by these ultra-powerful shields and ultra-powerful peeling of the Lulu and the Janna and Karma. While it does offer protection, it's nowhere on the level of those other two picks, so we're going to have to see Doublelift positioning very well, navigating these team fights very carefully, or you certainly can get taken out.
Well, having a major threat in the middle lane as well, so that Kog'Maw isn't just the focal point. It's not going to be a one-carry composition. Bjergsen, Syndra is there, but I would almost prefer something like a Corki to be that second extra threat that can be auto-attack based, can get something from the Ardent Sensor.
And I think that that's exactly the kind of pick that Bjergsen might be going for here. I think it fits well into the composition. But the issue with that is, if you go for the Corki, you're very heavily magic damage. And that is why they're going to be going for this Jayce. But remember, TSM can still flex this top. It could be mid, it could be top. Misfits is going to have to select their draft without knowing which lane it will go in. And then TSM will be able to reactively do their last pick to try to get the most favorable possible matchup.
Yep, it's a pretty wild pick there for TSM, one we haven't seen from them in quite a while, but Misfits, I think they know to finish standard. Maokai was banned, so not available as a tank, but Cho'Gath is, and Hauntzer does lock in his Orianna, Old Faithful, back here in the mid lane for PoE.
I just love to see a tank that has heavy engage in the top lane for Misfits, because I think that Taric, when utilizing offensively, when using the ult offensively, you can really force fights and you can get the maximum value out of it. If you don't have a lot of way to start fights, then the other team can kind of disengage when you pop the ultimate, and it can become so much less effective. This could be actually Karma mid.
I was going to say, I just realized that if they really want to playmaking support for Biofrost, they can change it up.
I think this is just Biofrost having fun, though. I think it's more likely to see something like the Trundle, even perhaps, in the top lane going over, but it could be the Jayce top, so it is actually going to be Jayce top, Ryze mid, so they're going to have to try to really bully out this Cho'Gath in this 1v1 in the top side, and this is so much pressure put on Hauntzer, because if you cannot get massively ahead of the Cho'Gath, I feel that Jayce pales in comparison to the teamfight effectiveness of the Cho.
And TSM wanted this. They banned Maokai and Cassiopeia, knowing Cho'Gath was the only real tank left available. They picked Jayce, flexing it between lanes as well, and they baited Misfits into saying, you can have the Cho'Gath, we want to counter it, we want to beat you in lane. It will beat it in lane very early on, The question is, can Alphari still get to the team fights?
And the question is, can Maxlore turn that around, right? The jungle interference sometimes can really make a big difference, and we've seen TSM 0 first bloods in 6 games throughout the tournament. If Jayce gets put behind against a Cho'Gath, if Cho'Gath is able to outpace the damage with early Ninja Tabbies, early Bramble Vest, even the 1v1 can become a struggle. And from there, Jayce offers almost nothing. You must win your lane.
Well, coaches will shake hands with each other for the last time in this tournament as Misfits and TSM are playing a very monumental tiebreaker. I mean, already day one just shook things up with Fnatic's Miracle Run, but as far as impact goes, I mean, 2 regions are really at stake here, both NA and EU. One of them will walk away disappointed. And is it Misfits? Is it the world's rookies that push it through? Or is it North America's veterans, the most dominant team that finally find themselves in the early game and push through to a win?
And trying to be the first North American team to get into the quarterfinals as well.
They broke the first curse. Now they're going to break the second. We'll see if they can get it done here. But oh boy. This is going to be one for the ages. I think no matter what happens, this will be epic.
Certainly will, and this is a game that is going to be remembered by European and North American fans, regardless of the result, for so long. There's such a fierce rivalry between these 2 teams and between these 2 regions. PowerOfEvil touting himself as the kryptonite to TSM. You know, taking them down previously in the past on UOL. Again, beating them earlier in the group stage when they were not expected to win at all. And we have to remember, despite the earlier victory for TSM, it was Misfits with a massive early game advantage.
A little flare flashing here. Sven and Hauntzer just trying to get some vision in. Doublelift to meet Hauntzer here behind Biofrost, although IgNar also in the area.
It's not bad, actually. The early aggression, both will get a recall off and they'll be okay. What we are looking at, though, through the early stages of this game, Hauntzer walks in, tries to find Maxlore at the blue buff, and that's the place we have to start this conversation off with. Maxlore will be on the opposite side of the rift, most likely getting a full leash towards the red buff, means that he'll be slightly ahead of Svenskeren on the opposite side of the map. But with the way TSM are currently posturing, I'm not sure if it's an early blue buff steal at level 1, or if he is going to go back to his red.
Yeah, and I'm thinking it's looking much more like that blue buff steal. We'll see what they decide to go for. I think, especially now that he's still here, it is going to try to be that invade for the blue buff steal, and they will try to make an advantage out of that. We'll have to see what the response is going to be, though, from Maxlore. This has been spotted out, so Maxlore can simply go from his red to TSM's blue and try to equalize through that, but jungle pathing does become more interesting in these kind of games. You have to be able to adapt. You have to be able to think on the fly.
And if you're TSM, here's the counterplay, right? Your bottom lane's a Karma Kog'Maw. It's going to push in at level 1. You immediately go towards the blue buff, try and place some vision. Maybe you push Maxlore away if he's going to rush single camp, but maybe you can just see him doing that and give Svenskeren extra time for even a gank on the opposite side of the rift.
This is also very interesting from Sven, because he's actually basically saying, Maxlore is going to go to my blue, so I will get more from your side of the jungle than you will from mine. And the fact that Maxlore now has gone to this side of the jungle with 2 camps down means if Svenskeren can be defensive in his own jungle, can pick up his own red and blue, then TSM have gotten an early game advantage from the jungle path.
Yep, going to cover Hauntzer in top as well. Just smashes down the Scuttle Crab with Sejuani's E damage after the proc. And you can see Hauntzer trying to zone Alphari off the wave. This is a rough time for Cho.
It certainly is, and I'd also take a little bit of time to talk about the item and mastery choices from Doublelift in the bot lane. He received a lot of criticism for the fact that he started Cull, for the fact that he went Fervor instead of Warlords, this very aggressive style, very greedy style, many called it. He is Warlords, he is Relic Shields, this is more defensive. Hauntzer going to be getting ganked here.
Hits, Maxlore here ready to go, going to try and power slam out of the way, but doesn't quite get enough distance, knocks Maxlore back in Hauntzer. I think at this rate he just knows he's dead. No, a late flash might save him, dodges the Rupture and gets out.
Good from Hauntzer to use his melee form first, close distance, knock Maxlore away out of the targets as well. It was level 3 on the Gragas, opposed to 2 on the Cho'Gath. Uses that and holds the flash for as long as he possibly can.
Certainly patient play there from Hauntzer, but even just that helps to equalize the lane so much. This is not an impressive buy from Hauntzer. He comes back with a longsword. He did well to survive the matchup, but now he has to be in this situation where he's a bit scared. He's worried about repeat ganks, and again, you want to be smashing this lane. You don't want to be farming passively. You don't want to be worried about where the jungler is.
Well, benefit here is that it looks like Maxwell's about to get 3-buffed by Svenskeren, who did full clear his red side and is now onto this blue. absolutely no contest available because Maxlore's not in the area, so Svenskeren has a huge lead in the early stages of the jungle.
Yeah, he certainly does, and this is a result of abstract pathing from Maxlore just that little bit, going towards top lane of all places. Not necessarily vertical jungling, it was more diagonal, trying to get a gank off. This puts Svenskeren with experience pretty far ahead.
Especially, I think that experience is very important because if you can get to that early level 6 on Sejuani, you know, people talk a lot about the power in the team fights of the Sejuani, and I think that it does outpace that of the Gragas, but Gragas is stronger in the early stages. So the fact that Svenskeren was not invaded, was not harassed, was not pushed off of his camps, does bode well for him having a better game here.
Well, you can see Bjergsen farming up in the mid lane, already gone back for the early tier. PowerOfEvil has also done a similar thing with their early lost chapter, so looks like things are going just fine so far.
The freeze really nice from Bjergsen though. The fact that he's actually able to hold those minions will mean he denies a few CS, a little bit of experience at least there in the mid lane from PowerOfEvil on that Orianna.
Ooh, root there on Biofrost, nice from Hauntzer, but Poke coming back. Doublelift actually taking it back, so TSM just happy to push the lane in, get their CS lead for now, although it has been evened up by Hauntzer with that big wave. And then looks like Doublelift returning with a dagger and a pickaxe as Sven is camping the top lane.
Yeah, you can see he's actually trying to protect Hauntzer to allow him to push it in. Hauntzer's out of mana, so Svenskeren essentially needs to be here to prevent any sort of gank. He wants to be there in case the Gragas does show up. This is not really an aggressive move that they're trying to make.
All right, you two. IgNar going in. Biofrost going to last hit a couple minions. Doublelift still returns. Misfits though will take it back. Yeah, maybe. TSM can see it though with the ward there. And Sven going to retake control of the left side Scuttle Crab.
And a fairly steady early game, barring the one gank that happens in the top lane. Svenskeren doesn't do anything crazy. He just helps Hauntzer get a recall whenever he's able to get a recall. That's surprisingly good from Alphari, but now Svenskeren's going to come back. And they won't expect the Sejuani to be here. He's expecting Hauntzer to go back to base.
Again, though, I don't really know if you can actually kill Alphari. He has his flash, is still low mana Jayce. They are going to try to do something, and Bjergsen is coming up here as well.
Alphari hit 6, so this could be bad news. Run warp up for PowerOfEvil, but Sven doing a lot of damage to Alphari. It's actually Bjergsen, excuse me. He's on the rise, but not enough.
They do get a flash, though. Still a nice roam there from Bjergsen. The wave was pushed up, so he's not really losing anything. They reset the wave. They get a summoner. And I would say mission accomplished there for TSM.
Absolutely, and of course, Alphari hadn't shopped yet. So just being on a Doran's shield means he is susceptible to dying to any kind of gank. Bjergsen finds some free time to get up there as well. Doesn't help with his mid lane control, but he's going to be fine with timing to be able to go up there essentially for free.
Trade back by Doublelift actually. Someone getting aggressive though on the Xayah, makes sense. He pulls the feathers back for a bit of extra damage. BF saw there actually for Hauntzer, so certainly has the early win as far as flat AD.
Yeah, able to hold on a little bit longer in lane, get that preferential buy certainly will be helpful, but Doublelift is going to be rushing towards the rage play. He has a pickaxe, he has an early dagger, he's going to be looking for that timing, and when you do complete it, you are such a strong point, especially in comparison to Infinity Edge users who generally need a second item. And even the Xayah, while I think you're stronger on one item with the Essence Reaver than you are with the IE, you still really want that second item to get the most from it. So you're starting to get the CDR, you're getting the crit for the mana return. That's where he's the strongest.
The one big benefit, of course, being the Ardent Sensor to compensate for spike timings will still be relatively strong, but yes, definitely looking for more, as much crit as a man can find. Doublelift on the other side will spike sooner, as you mentioned, but a lot of that I don't feel like relates to anything directly. TSM, their early games haven't been all that hot.
No, it's been very, very poor. You know, they statistically are probably the worst early game team in the entire tournament so far. Their late game has been great, but you need to be able to get yourself there without being too far behind. And I would say that so far, you know, it is an early game gold lead, but when you're looking at the top side for Alphari versus Hauntzer, he already has his Bramble Vest. He's rushing towards Tabbies. He's gotten past a lot of the super early game struggles that you're normally supposed to have because of the gank from Maxlore. And then you're asking yourself, well, did Svenskeren get enough with the experience advantage, with the triple buff, to really outweigh that? And for now, I'd say no.
Well, you can see at least Misfits do get the Ocean Drake as well, so kind of alleviating some of the gold lead that TSM have accrued, but a very close game. 8.5 minutes through, and no first blood has been given up by TSM just yet. They could get their first one off the tournament.
They haven't got a first blood yet at Worlds. That's very tragic for TSM, but you're right. I mean, the slower start from Misfits, perhaps it is being nervous that this puts you into the quarterfinals. More patient play, more reserve play, but at the same time, Cho'Gath into Jayce, you're expecting that to be slow from them. Orianna does not power spike in the early game. The Blitzcrank isn't there from them either. It's an ardent sensor user. You're expecting Misfits to start ramping up more around the 15-minute mark and try and stamp TSM down there.
Yeah, I really agree, and I think that Misfits are very happy with this early game because, well, yes, there is Doublelift on the Kog'Maw, great scaling on that. Ryze has strong scaling as well, so does Sejuani. The scaling is very strong here, too, for Misfits, and I would say the biggest advantage is that of the double tank composition, is that of this Cho'Gath versus Jayce.
Ooh, Sven actually going in onto Maxlore here. Alphari going to make it first, of course, but the stun is going to land. Good flash from Maxlore, and now Sven happy to take the summoner and leave.
Now, he doesn't know where Bjergsen is, I think, which is why there was a respect flash paid by Maxlore. Benefit of the doubt that Bjergsen was there. He wasn't. He was close, though.
And you always have to know that once you get hit by the passive there from Sejuani, the ultimate can follow that up. If Ryze comes in, then that's another route. That's such a big amount of CC, and NA Jayce.
NA Jayce has not been great. 1-5. Flame picked up a win this tournament on Immortals.
Yes, the one was a Korean.
NA Jayce.
Well, we'll see if Hauntzer can truly buck the trend.
Yeah.
Here on the Jayce pick.
Important game here, right? And certainly not a successful pick for North America historically. Last year, Worlds famously, they really were failing with it in the top lane, although it was a very meta pick. North America never really was able to execute on the pick. They're sometimes able to get the lane advantages, but even with those, never really able to convert, never really able to find the snowball and close out a game.
Well, IgNar poking his head around. Gonna take the blast cone away. Continue that pressure in the bot lane.
And we are at a point where PowerOfEvil has got a single item spike as well. He's gone for the Morellos. Shout out to the Not Nash's Tooth build. So he's gone for the 20% CDR in a single item. Again, spiking a little bit sooner, lacking in health, but increasing in damage, basically, from what the build's going to provide from all of the spells. I like that. It gives an opportunity for the team to work around the middle lane pressure. The fact that he can successfully clear minion waves because he's also level 9 and start trying to make a play.
This is where it starts to kind of get hard for the Jayce with all this early armor. Hauntzer is sitting there shooting the Cho'Gath, and he's taking a significant amount of damage himself, even though Alphari is not really hitting his abilities. You really start to whittle yourself down, and the amount of sustain on a Cho'Gath can get to the point where you struggle to push him out of the lane whatsoever.
Hauntzer going to try, certainly, although Maxlore has roamed his way back up through the lane to try and get this first blood. Oh, Rupture lands. Hauntzer maybe knows what's up. There's the silence in. Can now flash away. Has to do it quickly. Great flash knock back onto Alphari, but Maxlore, he wants to dive. Ulti's going to push him to safety, and Hauntzer escapes again.
Hauntzer escapes again. Well done from him, but Maxlore's path thing has relieved so much pressure. It's actually a CS advantage for Cho'Gath, which is very, very nice. And we haven't seen Svenskeren really unleash the ultimate yet. He is level 8 on the Sejuani, but he's still just kind of farming it up, trying to get vision for his team, playing very passively. And you would like to see him get involved in some of these plays.
And it may not have proven successful with a gank, but I appreciate that he went for a lane gank when you saw the vision everywhere except the lane for TSM. So the one place he could have went for a gank, he chooses, and it was mostly successful in that the teleport was used as well as the flash. Alphari can hold on to his. Now that gives a window of opportunity.
It certainly does. And you have to give some credit as well to the fact that Sven's earlier topside visit did force the flash out of Gragas, because Maxlore had no flash for this gank, and if he did, maybe that's actually a dead Jayce.
Maxlore sticking around for a little while longer, but good ward from TSM spots that. Lane gank attempt from Svenskeren, but his Doublelift getting aggressive in the bot side. Stun, not going to land. A hard summer, going to get rooted up by Biofrost, forced to use the Feather Storm. Doublelift just walks out from under a hard summer though, in onto Biofrost, trying to chip him back away.
Lots of damage from both of these teams. Hauntzer gets the worst end of that trade, however. Ardent Sensor for the Karma means they're stronger, and they're trying to push that advantage.
Yeah, and they're trying to take this advantage, take it into the jungle here. Bjergsen roaming down. This could be the first major fight of the game.
Oh, red buff goes over to Maxlore. Now
Early
Svenskeren's got to book it, pass his way around the ball, does not want to get shockwaved.
Yeah, Sven actually anticipating a very early smite coming out of Maxlore, so tried to preempt it. He tried to time it so that it would come down second, but it's Maxlore who gets the better of him there and takes away the red buff.
Yep, most Sejuanis will combo the auto attack when it's at 4 stacks with the smite, so he uses the auto attack and doesn't smite, or then tries to smite at the same time. So there's mini delay there. It was a bit awkward. Nothing that he wanted, unfortunately. Red buff just casually to Maxlore.
Yep, I will say, though, for Bjergsen, this is a very strong point in the game. The initial completion of the Abyssal Mask against the 3 AP topside makes you very powerful. You can start playing a lot more aggressive. It's tough to get.
Maxlore gonna knock him back. Alphari makes it in with the blast cone. Bjergsen here with the realm walk, maybe trying to join in. Good juke out of the rupture from Hauntzer. And Bjergsen in support.
Hauntzer really doing a good job absorbing this pressure, and he's actually building towards a Blade of the Rune King, it looks like, accepting that he cannot rush the armor penetration because the lane has not been as dominant as he would like. He's now going to have to go more for that 1v1 style, the percentage HP damage against this Cho'Gath, and the lifesteal honestly did withstand all that returned him.
Yeah, it's defensive, it's split push build for Hauntzer. He's going up against the Cho'Gath, so it's a very apt build nonetheless. Just means that his pressure when he's grouping up to Siege will be significantly lessened.
It's also going to be really hard for him. They could actually be losing a lot of damage on this turret because TSM is on the bot side. Again, Maxlore up to the top side, playing around Alphari, going against the conventional wisdom in this meta of playing only to bot side, and so far so good with this red buff. They may actually be able to just knock down this turret straight up.
Looks like Hauntzer just going to concede control, even PowerOfEvil roaming up, so going to just have to make a trade here.
It's a rushdown. We'll see if TSM can actually do this with their Unsensor, but not even close.
No, they're not going to win the trade, but TSM have the numbers advantage. They had the opportunity to keep Svenskeren down here, but with how fast Misfits got that turret down, I don't think they can push for anything further. They'll take the Drake, though. It's a slight edge, perhaps.
Yeah, and it's going to have to be one that pays off later, right? With that Mountain Dragon, you don't get any real combat stats. It's about, can you take an objective later with that? Can you rush down a Baron? Can you siege more effectively because of it? And to their credit, you know, in the split push, if Jayce is going to be building something like a Blade of the Rune, Black Cleaver split push style build, that will help him when he pushes up to those turrets. But definitely not the early game that Hauntzer wanted, although I will say Doublelift is at a really strong point.
It does also mean if they group up with Hauntzer around an objective like a Baron, they will take that down incredibly quickly as Bjergsen.
Yeah, he knows the shockwave's coming, flashes it. Dazzle also there from IgNar, so good for Bjergsen to get away. And again, such a surprisingly calm early game. Yes, Misfits especially are trying to be proactive, and now onto the Rift, they're actually looking to make a good leap for an objective here. You can tell the teams just don't want to give away too much early and spend even behind. Knows it's there with the ward in the back.
Do TSM really want to make their stand here, though? Bjergsen is flashless, and Jayce is on the other side of the map. They have moved up their Kog'Maw, and with that Rage Blade completed and the Ardent Sensor, Doublelift is very, very strong, but certainly still susceptible to the engages of the Gragas, the Taric, and the Cho'Gath.
I guess the decision does go both ways. Hauntzer, the rest of Misfits, they choose not to commit to the Rift Herald. And you mentioned how strong Kog'Maw is. Well, it might be an Essence Reaver for Hauntzer, just needs the Zeal perhaps to start optimizing more as Hauntzer.
Oh, good knockback again. Hauntzer already used the flasher, has to try and maybe clear it the way, but face! It's gonna give Alphari first blood.
Level 12 Cho'Gath does an awful lot of damage. PowerOfEvil being able to roam, but Hauntzer, no, they're good. Just means the free first blood.
Yeah, they get the first blood. TSM looking to try to push up on the top side, but all this attention Hauntzer's way has really limited his effectiveness, and now they stop the base from Bjergsen, and they're actually looking to try to catch him out.
Yep.
Get the Taric stun land.
Whoops, out of the way. Good from Bjergsen there to just barely dodge the Dazzle. But again, Tara bot side goes down.
I guess Maxlore thought he was Season 1 Gragas in that case, was trying to one-hit Bjergsen. Doesn't work as planned. Means if Bjergsen doesn't have his ult, however, as they go back to the Herald.
Continued pressure, perhaps. This might be an overstay. PowerOfEvil could be caught out. He is going to get stunned up by Sven, but no one's going to chase down now. Forcing the flash out of the Sejuani. Alphari does teleport in, and TSM, they're happy with that.
Yeah, they do lose the Rift Herald, though. They get the teleport, and they're trying to pressure mid. Misfits wants the base, so we'll see if TSM can actually push up and get anything done here. Doesn't look like it, though.
PowerOfEvil looks for Sven, finds a shockwave, but just a bit of poke damage there. TSM, though, they've already pulled off the mid-siege, so turret advantage will stay for Misfits.
There's a lot of emphasis from PowerOfEvil on using his shockwave just freely to do damage, not to secure the kills in any clutch moment. He knows that the fight had just ended and that there wasn't anything that was going to happen after. The wave was already clear. So he takes a crazy option and just throwing it out. Speaking of bottom lane, guys.
Hauntzer again. Alphari looking to chase him down.
Bilgewater not bad. Rupture is just barely going to tag him. Team's coming down, but I don't think it's enough for TSM. Maxlore, flash body slam, just going to try and take him down. Alphari with the ult, he gets a second stack.
this plan for Misfits is really working out well. Hauntzer is going to have so much trouble finding any sort of effectiveness in this game where Cho'Gath can simply go to the team fights, can take over in that aspect, and really be a threat onto everyone from TSM.
I mean, Hauntzer's a bunch of gold away from being relevant even in a split push right now. He's currently staring down Alphari, who has a bunch of armor, and now 2 kills with 2 feast stacks on top of that. He's not dying anytime soon in a 1v1.
Honestly, at this point, I don't think he's ever going to be under threat in the 1v1. I feel like with enough armor stacking and enough feast stacks, Alphari at the very least is going to be able to hold even, going to be able to wave clear. And Hauntzer really having a tough time through all this focus, unable to escape there. Not much he really could have done, but you have to wonder, is he getting frustrated, pushing up that far without the vision, not really knowing where the other team is?
Well, saw this already from TSM. Doublelift was very far behind in his early game, and the rest of his team was able to pick him back up. The Misfits are also a team that does well with a lead, and they've managed to build one in probably the most unlikely place.
Yeah, definitely a place that you don't want that lead to be if you're TSM on the flip side as well, though. Jayce being potentially irrelevant in that side lane means he may have to start grouping, and then you're grouping against that Cho'Gath. It's the teleport game right now, though, if we're contrasting top laners, where Hauntzer has the slight edge, and it means there's a window of opportunity for TSM. Not a big opportunity by any means, but a chance to make a play.
And honestly, at this point, you're almost just hoping that Hauntzer can keep Alphari in a side lane. And if you can have a 4v4 team fight, I think that would be a better chance for TSM right now, because if you get into a full-on 5v5 with the Taric ultimate used offensively, with Shockwave to follow up any sort of initiations onto Doublelift, I really feel that they will struggle to actually punch through the front line of the Gragas and of this Cho'Gath.
And the struggle is only increasing as well. TSM just lost another turret. PowerOfEvil's almost effectively solo pressure through the course of the laning phase does net them the outer turret there.
And the vision that Misfits have right now is around 2 different major objectives. They have vision at Baron, they have vision at the Drake. That's kind of absurd. There is nothing TSM can do on Summoner's Rift without phoning into Misfits saying, hey, by the way, we're going to the Baron pit.
We also have to remember, Misfits still have a Rift Herald available for the next minute or so, so they can look to actually pressure and try to crack one of these inner turrets. And I think, again, going back to the scene of the crime here, trying to focus Hauntzer, trying to set up a dive on him when they're so tanky, and then utilize that Rift Herald to knock down the bot tier 2.
Well, it's been summoned. So Rift Herald is going to get some damage done here. Alphari actually pushing Hauntzer off. I mean, at this point, Hauntzer, you can see Maxlore hitting that controller. He knows that the jungler is here. This team, again, very late to move over. Biofrost is available, but don't really think they can chase it down. TSM now finally trying to respond, but Misfits' vision that you pointed out earlier, Rusty, is making that almost impossible.
This is why you don't give heralds to Hauntzer. You give them to Maxlore. He'll make the plays. He'll actually summon the herald. They do get a tower with it, which is very important. It's one of the few inners that will be able to safely go down without any kind of fight, any kind of contesting, and at the same time, easy transition for another stack for Alphari.
Yeah, and he is going to be stacking up very, very quickly. Going to be such a threat. Already 7 stacks at 21 minutes here on the Cho'Gath, and a number of those are the non-minion stacks, which is so important because he can pick up at least 3 or so more just from minions, which is going to have a Cho'Gath sitting at 10 stacks, and that's such a massive threat in any team fight. So it's going to be a game where TSM has to have a fantastic performance out of Doublelift, I feel like. It really seems that Kog'Maw is the only character who's going to be able to put out enough damage to actually punch through these carries.
But is Doublelift set up to be the hero that TSM and North America need? He's got just the Karma protecting him. It's not a full shield, the Doublelift composition, and he's against the Cho'Gath that is that big. Shockwave, very relevant. I feel like those are the 2 things that might take him apart, but even his damage output against the Taric ultimate could be diffused.
Exactly, and the Gragas engage is another thing that you have to be very worried about. If Gragas' body slam flashing in onto Doublelift with the Taric ultimate coming down, with Cho'Gath flashing forward, can TSM absorb that type of engage and be able to fight back when they are with this Jayce who's kind of stuck in this position where he can't really be super effective in the team fights, but also doesn't have side lane priority?
Well, I think at this point, like you said, TSM just kind of have to find either some picks or a 4v4 that favors them without Alphari coming in. Doublelift does have 2 items. Sven looking for IgNar. Good flash though from the Taric. Going to keep him alive. And Hauntzer getting aggressive, but Doublelift going to turn back around. Featherstorm forced out. Hauntzer actually walking over. Didn't really want to hang out on the side lane, but PowerOfEvil looking for the shockwave, forces 2 flashes.
Really nice there from PoE. The flashes off both the solo laners there, and Misfits with another advantage. The 3rd straight time they're looking to try to get a fight here.
Sven gonna get stunned up. Maxlore ready to buff him back into the team perhaps. Yep, does use it. Forces Doublelift away as well. That's Insta Sven getting out for the Taric ultimate. He's gonna move them forward. Svenskeren gonna almost get killed, but he somehow escapes Alphari's fist. Biofrost though, maybe not so lucky. Gonna take the damage and have to be the sacrifice.
They'll take the 1 kill, but major health advantages for all of Misfits. There's no feast, but there is a smite if they want to look towards the Baron pit. They have the vision control already established. TSM with no support.
Yeah, without even the protection of the Karma for this Kog'Maw. Doublelift is going to have to play this so incredibly well. Misfits have started up this Baron. I don't feel like TSM can afford to give it up.
He did so much damage to Doublelift there. If he had Shock, he was probably dead. IgNar though, out the front lines without a fun for TSM. Getting engaged on Svenskeren. Forced to back away, but Hauntzer gets knocked up there. And Bjergsen just can't get out anywhere. Doublelift, little too far forward. PowerOfEvil takes him down. And now Hauntzer going to get ruptured on the other end of it. Following to the silence of Sven trying to escape, but PowerOfEvil carrying his team to the double, and Hauntzer cleans up the 3rd.
That could be the end for TSM here in this game. They're getting outscaled. They're getting run over here by Misfits. Misfits right back to the Baron. It will be a free one for them. And Doublelift unable to use the flash to dodge either Shockwave or the root coming out of Hauntzer. And Misfits have full control over this game.
0 kills in this game for TSM. Hope is absolutely fleeting for the roster as Misfits are starting to run away with it. The Baron's big. They even get a feast stack for good measure on the Cho'Gath as if they needed anything extra. PowerOfEvil is putting in some serious work in these fights. Doublelift gets rooted in place by Hauntzer, I believe, which is a big part of this, why they're able to do relevant damage. Bjergsen is just so far away from his team. He's conceded the fight. They know it's over. Maybe they shouldn't have contested the Baron like that at all. Yeah, I mean, pushed out of the fight there by the frontliners. So much damage coming in from the backline as well here of PowerOfEvil and Hauntzer. Misfits' 2nd seed in Europe, looking to take down TSM, looking to go to the quarterfinals on this game. But 2 games in a row, they've had massive leads, and they have thrown them. We'll see if they can actually hold on to this, or if TSM can scrape back in. And last time Misfits had a lead and threw that one away, it was against a Kog'Maw, a very good late-game scaling champion. Yes, the hope for NA is fleeting. The hope for TSM is starting to whittle away, but there is hope for any Kog'Maw composition.
And PowerOfEvil is ready to end this game by the looks of things. He went death cap for even finishing his Leandry's maximum impact at this stage of the game. And that inhibitor turret just melts. Sven gonna dive back in, try and look for something, but Taric ult's gonna turn that off. And there's Alphari looking for the stack, but Hauntzer grabs the kill.
I mean, this is looking so grim for TSM here. You have a split pusher who cannot win the 1v1. You're up against the Baron buff. Hauntzer could not be in a side lane, and TSM very clearly cannot stand up in the 5v5 right now. The gold lead is getting enormous. The mid lane inhibitor has been cracked, and Misfits, it feels, are very close to winning this game.
Svenskeren just throws his body willingly at the enemy team and will be made pay for it. And suddenly he's going to be the reason 2 inhibitors go down so quickly as well, just by dying.
It just doesn't feel like they have the wave clear though, right? You're in a situation where you need to force some sort of fight. You need to do something on this Sejuani because Ryze and Kog'Maw and Jayce at this point are not putting forth the wave clear, are not putting forth the threat onto the front line. And here is the engage. Very clearly they're looking for it as a 5-man team, but really not much of a chance of this working. The Taric ultimate very easily comes down, and Misfits pick up an easy kill, multiple turrets, 2 inhibitors.
I mean, it's fine to say, okay, we're looking for it as well. I can understand the decision, and I'm okay with that. It's the choice to dash forwards, throw the ultimate, knowing that the only person you can hit is Maxlore. Hitting Maxlore, realizing it was a mistake, and starting to run away as if he didn't know before that it was a mistake.
Well, Misfits with that blitz with the Baron buff, able to take down 2 inhibs and push TSM all the way back, running out of room to play with on the Rift, and certainly running out of breath. 10,000 gold pretty much also up for Misfits, so they are 1 push away, likely this one, of sealing themselves a spot in the quarterfinals.
And they've played such a strong game here. Great game plan, attacking the Jayce in the top lane. No advantage was able to be gained up there for TSM whatsoever. Maxlore rendered this Jayce pick completely useless, and TSM have one last chance. They need a miracle fight here.
They're going for it very soon. There's the stun actually landing onto Maxlore. Damage not enough though. Taric all burnt. Hip turret does go down. PowerOfEvil threatening with the shockwave. Hauntzer, he's going to get himself stunned, but no follow-up CC there from Misfits.
And that's good from Misfits. They slow play the game. Inhibitors, dead mid and top mean minions start to crash, and now they look for it.
They have to fight for this inhibitor though. TSM cannot afford to give up a triple inhib with this disadvantage, and they're looking for it.
Oh,
Sven is
that
very
could be
low.
a feast. Sven forced to flush out of the way. Doublelift doing what he can. Warmong's will kick in eventually. Sven getting to reach it back. Winningo with a huge stun. Everybody flushes out of the shockwave though. And TSM, they have to go now. I think this is their only chance to try and hold this game.
Their engage is just so weak though. I don't know how they go forwards. Misfits just play the game slow. Nexus being threatened by super minions right now. It should just be 3 inhibitors clean.
Can't grab it, and there's the initiation again from the rest of Misfits now surging in towards the Nexus turret. There's already one dead. This looks like a game. Misfits are going to expose the Nexus TSM. Perhaps one last hurrah.
They have to do something now. It's the only chance. You will be just completely run down by the 6 super minions spawning at a time, but Misfits playing it too well, playing so patiently. Alphari with the double Ocean Dragon is regenerating back up, and I think it's all over but the crying for TSM.
Yeah. TSM holding on, all but defeated, and it feels like mental as well as here they go.
Here we go, Maxlore is going to get something, but Bjergsen is getting taken down by Hauntzer. Root is good on to do, but Doublelift actually still dealing decent damage. Flash face, PowerOfEvil grabs on us. Hauntzer seals the kill onto Doublelift. TSM down 2, looking to defend, but I don't think they can.
No, 40 seconds on Kog'Maw. Svenskeren has to base. The minions are crashing. They want to end it now.
I love it from IgNar, popping the ulti, ready to go and going to try and win themselves a fight. Hauntzer looks to assess their Hauntzer, but he does just get it. Svenskeren able to get it. Oh, TSM actually may have thought they were barely out of this. I mean,
there's too many minions. They're crashing in. The Nexus is dying to all these super minions, and Misfits are going to do it.
They're going to rush the Nexus. These world's rookies, these upstarts with the Nexus open. These Misfits push themselves straight into the quarterfinals. And there it is.
An EU beats NA on the day. Not just once, though. TSM may have beaten them in the first game this time, but revenge is there for all of Europe, it seems.
Elation for Misfits, for Europe, and agony in defeat here for TSM. Again, out in group stages in Worlds 2017. Last year, same roster, high expectations, not able to get past groups. This year, the draw of a lifetime, they felt. People talking about how strong TSM was and how weak this group would be. And the team, Misfits, that was expected to go 0-6 in this group, ends up being the team that knocks TSM out of the entire tournament.
I think living up to their name, PowerOfEvil with a big smile on his face, continuing to be the kryptonite for Bjergsen and TSM. And what an amazing story for Misfits. We've already joked Challenger of the Worlds was like pretty insane for a new team, but they pushed themselves at least one better to the quarterfinals.
Yeah, how's Challenger to quarterfinals? That's so impressive for this team, and they do continue to improve. And you have to say, with the early game leads that they have been able to establish, if this team is able to improve some of their game closing, if they're able to improve their later stages of the game, they can really challenge the people in the quarterfinals.
They've shown some weaknesses, but they've definitely shown some strengths here on the world stage. TSM, unfortunately, their weakness was too glaring, too obvious, and meant way too much for them. You can't just lose every single early game and expect to continue to scale. You have to be the best team in the world to be able to survive the early game hurdles that you have to leap over to even get to late game.
Yeah, 0 first bloods in 7 attempts for TSM. Their early game never really came online, and they were never able to get going this game at all. Nearly a perfect game, it felt like, for Misfits. 2 kills at the very end for TSM, 1 turret to their name, but the Jayce pick was always going to be what the game was centered around. We talked so much in draft and in the early game about how you not only have to go even, you have to smash lane, you have to get a massive advantage, and it just felt like Maxlore and Alphari were more than capable of answering that.
I think it makes sense given what TSM's strengths have shown. Hauntzer had a great tournament for himself. I think giving him a carry, again, like, you can understand the logic from TSM with the way they went in the draft, but Misfits, they outpicked them, they outthought them, and then straight up outplayed them to give themselves this quarterfinal spot.
And credit where it's due to Maxlore as well for his decision-making, going to the correct area on Summoner's Rift as well, targeting the Cho'Gath lane to keep Hauntzer down, recognizing that NA's last hope was in that Jayce pick, but NA Jayce proves too strong.
Yeah.
And Jayce, unfortunately, not looking great. So we're going to sort ourselves up for an interview. Not just yet, but we will have something for you. I mean, again, not going to spend too long on it dwelling, but I mean, obviously for North America, this is a heartbreak.
Yeah, it certainly is. It's always been kind of the meme, you know, NA at Worlds Week 2. Mortals start 2-1. They go 0-4 on the day and are eliminated. TSM end up 1-3 on the day and are also eliminated here. Cloud9, the last remaining North American team, did make quarterfinals last year. You know, are poised to do it as well, but it's certainly heartbreaking for these players who put all year, all this practice into it and have high expectations for themselves, and the fans have high expectations for them, and again, they're not able to meet those.
Yeah, pressure certainly sucks there, and again, TSM didn't even need to be in this spot. If they had beaten Flash Wolves, they wouldn't have maybe ever played this tiebreak, or at least it could have been very different, but couldn't build enough momentum. That's certainly shown in the early games, and Misfits, a team that is quickly improving on the world stage for their first time in 2 weeks. Like, that sentence should not be a thing, but that's where we are now.
Yeah, you have to give credit to Misfits for improving every single game, every single day that they competed in, and that just goes to show what group stage can do for these teams, right? Flash Wolves getting the one upset victory, able to change the pace of this entire group. That's all it can take for you to go from top 2 down to the bottom 2, and it proves to be one of the big reasons why TSM had to play this at all.
Yeah, and a lot of it, to me, is about adaptation, right? When you look at WE topping this group, coming in with the Caitlyn, smashing early games in their couple games here today, really looking dominant with the new pick. When you look at Misfits, also bringing new picks, despite the fact that the Blitzcrank Yasuo did not work, getting a massive advantage in the early game, bringing in the Thresh and getting a win with that, really trying to up their game and show new styles, and it gets them out of the group.
Well, certainly looking good as Misfits Gaming are ready for the quarterfinals in their first international tournament. So let's head over to Shox and hear from their jungler and AD carry.
Thank you very much, guys. Yeah, joined by Maxlore and Hauntzer. They did it after one of the craziest days in World Group Stage history, Hauntzer. What are your first thoughts? What do you feel after doing that heroic day and making it to quarters?
It also feels amazing for me to play my first year in the CS to make Worlds. It was like a huge step for first, and getting into out of group, it feels pretty damn good, and I'll definitely try out my life for the next part.
Yeah, because this is only the beginning. Now, Max, you said when I talked to you on the first days you played, yeah, you got to be there to win everything. You can't go in with a loser's attitude. So, I mean, now the sky is the limit, it seems. But can you first tell me how much it took from you guys after this marathon of a day, those ups and downs, to finally do it?
It took everything we got, pretty much. We had to, we had so many losses today, actually. I didn't even think we could make it at some point, but you have to fight those thoughts, and everyone on your team has to fight those thoughts, and especially after we lost the WE, you have to instantly refresh and refocus, and it basically took everything we had, yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine. For the funny side, of course, people they're saying, well, you didn't win versus WE, so you could finish off with the PowerOfEvil power versus TSM, but I'm sure that wasn't the case. I'm sure the stress was really high, and Hauntzer, on the EU finals, we heard that you guys were quite stressed. How did you manage to keep it under control? Do you feel you've grown throughout this day?
I would say I've grown throughout this day, yeah. I feel less pressure since a while, since the playoff started. I play with mind to not think a lot and play with huge confidence. And for now that worked pretty well. I kind of stepped up in my opinion, and I'm able to carry games now.
You had some fantastic performances. The one-year plan is all we heard. Getting to Worlds, what's the next step, Maxlore?
I want to go home and enjoy my nuggets. So I don't know about you.
You mean home? You still got some matches to play, Max.
Oh, I mean, I'm going to go home in the hotel.
Okay,
yeah,
and enjoy the nuggets.
Yeah, of course.
To jump on that one-year plan, though, you guys have had a great support staff, and I feel like some of those people have done a lot of work behind the scenes to get you here. Hussein, to call out one, how has the crew helped you out on this day and through group so far?
Everyone helped. So even our strategic coach, Hiva, you might know him from Origin, and also people in the background, like our analyst Empire, and our mental sports psychologist that can't be here with us, but God bless wherever he is. But yeah, all these people deserve praise. But honestly, I don't think we should relax because, as I said before, I think we should go in with a winning mindset. And today we lost some games that we shouldn't have, or we had some situations that we never encountered before and we lost because of it. So we need to learn from our mistakes since we're going to play a Seed 1 team, and hopefully we'll fix our mistakes and smash them.
All right, you guys are very calm after such an epic day. I guess you also lost a lot of energy. Is there any final words you'd like to say to the Misfits fans and all the EU fans that you've made very proud? Hansama?
Thanks very much for cheering for Misfit, and we hope that we're not gonna deceive you. We're gonna try our best.
Max?
Misfits fighting!
Misfits fighting. Well, thank you guys very much. Congratulations. Misfits is making it to the quarterfinals. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thank you very much, Shocks. Hats off to Hauntzer, Maxlore, and the entirety of the Misfits organization for what they've achieved, and who knows what else they might achieve at this point, ending their group stages 4 and 3, dashing the hopes of North American fans everywhere. TSM in ruins now, 3 and 4, out of the tournament. I mean, these guys have just shown up, and they've blown everything wide open. They're going to change minds in a similar way to the Gigabyte Marines.
And I'm glad that we got to see this game as well to remove all doubt. You know, Misfits 100%.
I never doubted.
Crumbs never doubted.
All right, we bow down to Crumbs. All right,
ain't no thing start coming.
Kobe, but continue your point.
The Misfits 100% deserve their quarterfinal spot, and TSM do not. You know, congratulations to Crumbs as well for his perfect prediction of number 1 and 2 spots.
Thank you. Thank you. You're not going to... there we go. There we go.
The concession. But let's talk about this roster of guys and what they've done here. Again, we saw adaptation from TSM in this game a little bit, indexing a little bit more towards that early game, even putting their trust in the player that had been performing well throughout the tournament. It just wasn't enough.
Yeah, it was all focus on Hauntzer, and I really want to put a magnifying glass also on Maxlore. You know, they tried to split the map. They invaded the blue buff. They had, Misfits had vision of TSM doing this, and Maxlore had to make the choice. Either go, don't get 3 buffed, I can trade blue, or he decides to go and gank the top lane, burn the flash off of Hauntzer, and that forced Sven to babysit Hauntzer. So even when Hauntzer was going even in his lane, Sven was unable to participate in the mid lane, to participate in the bot lane, and Maxlore just ran the gauntlet on him.
But I also want to highlight how bizarre the draft from TSM was. Tristana being such a key champion for Doublelift, forget about it. They go with Kog'Maw, not sure why. And then the Jayce. Why are you picking all of a sudden the carry into the top in Game 7?
You wanted adaptation.
You shouldn't even be playing this game, and you're saving it for now? Why haven't you played this pick earlier? This is a champion and a strategy that arguably the best team in the tournament is running as one of their primary strategies, so obviously it works. If you're using it now, you just are saying, well, somebody's doing it. We might as well try it.
You didn't want them to stick to their old strategy. You don't want them to use a different strategy.
No, I'm thinking Renekton, not Jayce.
Okay.
What? Yeah.
There were perhaps some other options for TSM. At the end of the day, it's all moot. They didn't perform with the composition that they picked. We probably would have liked to have seen adaptation out of them sooner in the tournament. It doesn't happen. But I want to focus on this Misfits squad and the task they have ahead of them. Maxlore said himself they are going to have to play a 1 seed. The road doesn't get any easier. But if this team has proven anything to us, it's that they will learn. They have learned. Within the duration of just these 2 weeks, their improvement has been marked.
And it's that they came to win, and they're not playing not to lose, if that makes sense. It feels
absolutely.
like a lot of these teams are playing like this very defensive style where they just kind of wait and swell up, and then they just want to roll over someone in a late game. No, Misfits come crashing in forward. They say we're going to win from minute 1, and we're going to win from minute 55.
Kobe?
Yeah, I mean, the team that's picking Thresh and Blitzcrank in the Ardent Sensor meta is definitely there playing to try and win, to try and upset, you know, to try and create something else.
And that has so much value in this tournament because you need to be making mistakes for you to learn. TSM never attempted anything and never got to learn, whereas the Misfits always shooting for more. Okay, you messed up against WE, you messed up against TSM, but they kept learning and compounding upon their mistakes so that then every single match they become that much better and they're able to adapt on the fly, which is something that we thought they weren't going to be able to do that well. But hey, they did it here, especially with Maxlore's pathing adaptation, which was just brilliant.
After that tiebreaker win, it will be Misfits Gaming advancing to the quarterfinals along with Team WE. Let's also highlight TSM, who are 1 win away from making it to the knockout stage. We look at Group A, who takes the stage tomorrow, and the reigning champions SKT are undefeated at the top. No surprise there, with C9 leading the race for second, ahead of AHQ and EDG. Tomorrow we'll get our final quarterfinalists, starting things off with a clash between SKT and AHQ at 12 p.m. local time. That's 9 p.m. Pacific time and 6 a.m. Central European Summer Time. The teams in Group A will play 3 games each, with our knockout draw coming up at the end of the day.
And the thing is we could have a very similar situation for EDG that we did for TSM today. Yes, they're starting, from a much larger deficit than all of the expectations from TSM from week 1, but it's still the #1 seeds from NA, the #1 seeds from CN, and they could theoretically drop out tomorrow.
Yeah, on top of that, I mean, you've got C9, the last hope at NA, sitting at 2-1. So in prime position to make it out behind SKT, even more so than TSM, who was sitting in that 3-way tie coming in.
But TSM, or rather Cloud9, have looked much better at adaptation throughout the tournament than any other team from North America. And on top of that, they also play the early game a little bit more aggressive. They're willing to make mistakes. They're willing to be aggressive and try to seize a win, which is the traits that we're looking for these teams. Somebody that is trying to not just be here and cruise by. They're trying to say, hey, can we shoot a game? At least the fact that they're saying we can take a game off SKT is enough to inspire confidence and say, hey, they're prepared, or they're shooting for the stars.
I was talking to Contracts, and he actually said the same thing as Maxlore after I congratulated him on one of their wins and finishing the group #2.
Right.
He said, we're not looking for #2. They're looking to win the entire thing and actually come out as the seed 1.
You got to have that mentality.
Awesome of a storyline would it be that TSM fall, and it's the team that has kind of recently been struggling to take down TSM, that can be the last pride for North America and make it out.
Yeah, I mean that's the NA that's the NA rivalry, right? That is TSM C9 and CLG sometimes sliding in there, but really it's C9 TSM. Kobe, any more thoughts?
I mean, we've been in this situation before where Cloud9 is NA's last hope. See if they can pull it off this time.
I mean, and also too, the interesting thing about tomorrow's games, we heard Rusty talking about it. You can't really be a team that rests on your laurels and sits back and hopes to get to the late game unless you're the best team in the world. Well, we might get a look at that team tomorrow. We'll see. I'm not necessarily calling SKT definitively the best team in the world, but they are the team that is typically best at absorbing pressure. So the question is, will any of these other teams be able to break that?
SKT do get the pass of just being SKT, so we basically accept all their mistakes and saying, all right, well, unless you show us something awful.
But that comes from faith and adaptation, right? Because
Yes.
in previous tournaments, when they do make a mistake, we see them learn from it, unlike, for example, what TSM has most recently shown us.
I mean, EDG came pretty damn close to getting a game off SKT with that 10,000 gold lead. So, there's definitely a shot for a team taking a game there.
All right, one more day of action, 6 more games, plus maybe some spice breakers, who knows? Be sure to hit us up at LOL Esports with your world's big plays from the week, as we'll highlight them after tomorrow's games. Remember to stay tuned for Worlds tonight with Freak, Rusty, and Kobe, starting in just a few minutes as we take a look at the day's games. Now for myself, the casters, and the entire live broadcast crew, thank you for watching. We'll see you tomorrow for more Worlds 2017. Good night. Our closest group coming into the day. Are you ready for another 6 games of craziness? If they can start off on the right foot, we're looking at a very scary European squad here.
Watch for Swordart with the Shen off. He gets hooked though. Gotta be careful. He goes down immediately. Swordart still doesn't get the quickness in.
Watch him.
Fighting! Misfits close the door on the Flash Wolves Worlds run.
If you want first place, you're going to have to find victories in these games.
Doublelift backing up. Doublelift fighting, getting the damage in, but I don't think it's going to be enough. The flame spitter right in his face, and it's going to be 957, the triple.
It's Team WE in front of the home crowd that shut down TSM.
MMD is going to get a little bit more delivered. There's the chop down. Another kill for Mystics. Caitlyn pick 12-5. Team WE take down Flash Wolves.
EU vs NA once again, and for almost all the marbles this time. For TSM, it is.
Biofrost needs to move back in and try and say dash off of the shield, but he gets hooked up by IgNar. PowerOfEvil still chasing in, and Biofrost not going to make it.
Twitch is useless. We win. Nice.
Jab in the flash. Xayah, I kill Ryze as well.
Yasuo.
Forward. I kill Brooks.
The cons are fucking really panicked right now. Yep. So just calm down.
In under the back of a combo, there to get the front line down, and Doublelift letting rip on the twitch. Doublelift with a great flank to get the damage down. That's 2 already. Now from Hauntzer, gets him in there. Hauntzer knocked him on the other end as TSM, they will keep their hopes alive here at Worlds and take down Misfits. Maple still firing away, almost grabbed a triple. MMD now dominating as he takes that one down. Again, Hauntzer stunned up by Ace. Nexus turret just getting torn to shreds. And Flash Rules, they may only win once, but it hurts so bad.
Nice.
Nice.
I can flash on the roof. Go.
Go. Nice.
They camp at the miasmas, go from PowerOfEvil. The final shot of culling. They fall behind, they come back late, and they keep their dreams alive.
Now just go to the next game. It's best of one, but nothing else matters.
This game I just want us to play, to win. Don't play not to lose.
I don't have Cho'Gath. I've cheated too. Nice goal.
Nice.
Go bound. I speed you.
Nice.
Root is good on to do, but Double actually still dealing decent damage. Flashbang! These world rookies, these upstarts, these Misfits push themselves straight into the quarterfinals.